Hi, this is John from Chicago, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing you the BetaFPV 85 Pro 2. I heard about this quad first a little over a year ago from Nate Payne, the Shutterbug, and he was the one that developed the concept behind it. It's basically putting large motors and props on a tiny whoop to make it lightweight tiny whoop to make it go fast and do aerobatics. And they were quite successful with this model in doing that. The model itself has 1103 by 11,000 kV motors, which gives it its power. It runs on a 2S battery. They give you a 300 milliamp battery in the box. I find the 450 outdoors works a little bit better because it'll gets a little bit longer flight times. It also comes with a set of extra props, a extra camera holder that holds it at the camera at 35 degrees and the other one is 25. The camera is fixed, so it takes a little bit to change the angle, but at least it's possible. Let's see, I bought my first one a little over a year ago, and I've flown it for probably 80 times or so, I'm guessing, and then I had a ESC burnout on it, and I was debating whether to buy a new flight control board, which this one now has a different flight control board and ESCs in it, also has an upgraded camera, and the VTX is different on there. So those are the differences. So instead of buying the camera, BetaFPV has a special every Thanksgiving where they run 20% off on all their products. So I just picked up another one. This lists for $100, so I got it for $80, including a battery. Can't go wrong with that for having something that much fun. So I'm going to do a thrust test, and I'm going to do a range test. Then I'm going to do a indoor speed test and an outdoor speed test around the playground. And then I'm going to even do an outdoor speed test around the larger park that I run, and put all this information on a spreadsheet and make my recommendations. The Betaflight FPV 85 Pro 2, the newer version, weighs 41.1 grams, where the older version weighs a little bit more at 41.5 grams. The newer version does have a capacitor on the memory plug, and it also has a little bit bigger propellers, and I put a little bit of blue tack underneath the antenna to get it to be at about a 40-degree angle for better video reception. As far as the batteries go, the one that comes with it, it's a 300 milliamp hour battery, weighs 20.9 grams. A 450 2S weighs 28.8 grams, and a 2S 550 weighs 32.6 grams. Now let's get on to the thrust test. Thrust test with a 300 milliamp hour battery. 220. Now we're doing a outside range test. I ended up doing 3 different trials. The first one was at 25 milliwatts for the VTX. I made it 170 meters, which I'm not showing here. Then the one on the left, I'm using 200 milliwatts, and I ended up with 200 meters. And then the one on the right, I ended up at 235 millimeters. What's different is I moved the antenna up about 40 degrees tilt, so when it's flying, it's close to 90 degrees. So you can see the one on the right's a lot clearer than the video on the left. And the one on the left, right now, when I come up to that end of the path there, it's 200 meters. And on the one on the left, I just couldn't see the tree branches, and that's as far as it would go. The one on the right, I'm up to about 220 there, and I end up right there at 235. It failed safed and flipped over. Now I'm going inside and doing my indoor time testing for laps. And this did fairly good. I was quite surprised. I ended up being 10 seconds per lap. It was pretty consistent. And my times with other tiny whoops varied from about 8 seconds to a little over 14 seconds per lap. So 10 seconds for a tiny whoop that is 85 millimeters and 62 grams is quite good. Now I'm on the outdoor playground track, and this is where this really shows the power to weight ratio. You could open this up and go fairly quick. I'm ending up here. These are 10-second laps. There's two 10-second laps. And then I ended up bumping the tree branch right there, and it flipped around, and I lost about 4 seconds. So this next lap was 14 seconds. So my average for the 3 laps was 11.3 seconds. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to do some more testing. And then I did my outdoor playground test. Not playground, this is the field test. It's a longer track. And again, I did 3 laps. This first one here is 21 seconds per lap. I normally don't test my tiny whoops on this small of a lap. These are normally for the twigs and bigger ones. And then the second lap here is 19 seconds. And then which is 2 seconds quicker, and then my third lap, I ended up with 17 seconds, which was again 2 seconds quicker. I think I would have ended up, if I had more time to race out here, I probably end up at about 17 seconds per lap, which is quite good. The power to weight ratio of 4.7 is really great, and that for a tiny whoop to get 17 seconds is good. The spreadsheet showing the data for the 28 tiny whoops that I've tested so far is shown on the screen. The yellow line is near the bottom is on the BetaFPV 85 Pro 2. It shows all the data for that. For the pros, this had the highest power to weight ratio of any of the tiny whoops at 4.7. As a result, it's good at aerobatics. This is what it was built for, and it does great. I did have a little bit yaw washout, though, on doing some power loops and on some dives, but it was pretty minor compared to most of my other tiny whoops. For cons, the range, I only had 235 meters of range. That's after I tilted the antenna up. It brought it up from 200 meters. But a lot of the new, or some of the new tiny whoops out there at 25 milliwatts are getting 300 meters of range now. And the SBI receivers are also getting over 300 meters of range. I would think that'd be an area where they could improve on this. Because it's so fast, I think the longer range would be useful on this quad. The camera, I wish it had a little bit wider field of view. This definitely is an increase. The camera is more clear than what the original one was, but I think there's some room for improvements there. As far as durability, they switched out the canopy that used to break really easy. It's a pretty tough quad otherwise for durability. I did have the one ESC problem, but that was after 80 flights or so, it burnt out. There's not a lot of headroom. These are only 5 amp ESCs, where with the 1103 motors pushing them at 11,000 RPM, they are putting out quite a bit of amps. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. And this is John from Chicago, and thanks for watching.